whānau, it's Bex here again from UTB and my friend Mark.
Hi Bex, I'm up, yep, you're up there, I'm down here.
Right, and last video that we created was talking about questions 1 to 9 of the PLD application. And today, my friends, we are looking at number 10 and 11. So last time we talked about there's initial questions, which are multi-choice and short answer questions. These are a little bit different. They're kind of like question 6, where you're explaining the groups that you're working with to create the proposal and how you work with them. So that was your first example of bringing in data. So let's have a look at question 10. Next slide. So the question is, what do you want to achieve with this PLD? What journey is your kura, school, cluster or kāhui ako on this proposal will contribute to? So this is about what you want to achieve. So do you want to have a greater student engagement on a particular curriculum area? Do you want to have a local curriculum that is more inclusive of a particular group within your school who maybe have feedback that they feel like they're not strongly connected with what is currently happening? The key tip here is the language that you use. You need to use the language that you use in your staff room. So no big fancy pants words, no big jargons. Remember, we are talking to DPs and principals just like yourselves. So no big fancy words required. So the opportunity here is to tell the story as plainly as you would to your staff. So one of my friends is a principal of a school, and he applied support around assessment for learning because assessment processes in the school are really all over the place. All the teachers were using many different ways of collecting data. Teacher judgments were all over the place and weren't consistent, and there was no clear opportunity to see how progress was made over time at school. So because there weren't any consistent measures. So in this application, we wanted to show that we wanted a consistent way of identifying the impact that we have on student achievement and providing opportunities for interventions, knowing what works and beginning to unpack why it works. So that's the explanation that you want to achieve. Was there anything you wanted to add there, Mark?
Yeah, and I think obviously if you're going to go with a company like ours in the digital fluency, then you're going to be asking questions around the need for upskilling on those digital tools to help you achieve that. So it's always pedagogy first, and that's what we always advise schools. But then you just have to really stress the fact that this funding is needed to be able to bring expertise in, to be able to help you with that. So that's, I think, the part of the piece that some schools miss. They're really good at explaining their journey and what they're trying to achieve, but then they miss that whole point of, the gap, like between where they are and where they want to get to and why they need some support.
So some key tips on the next slide, Mark, just to reiterate. So outline the growth you're going to try to achieve and how it fits in within your journey. And I think there might have been another tip on the next page. And so use that language and a story that you'd use in your staff room, leadership meetings, or with your whānau. So those are 2 key tips for question 10. All right, question 11. Why do you want to do this PLD? So what evidence are you going to use to support this proposal and support your journey? So it's just so important to have a clear plan, a clearer vision, and a clearer understanding of the journey you want to go on. So please, by all means, put in, I don't know where I was going with that. So know your why is pretty much where I was going with that. So know why you want to do it. So for example, if you want to develop your students' digital fluency so that they can show in a more wider and diverse way their learning, or to celebrate learning beyond traditional means, then explain why you want to do that. What is your data showing at the moment, and what are your students telling you? Where is the information that you have in terms of some planning documents that you might have put together, and what is it? And what is it that you're connecting with? So you're working with a model that may be like new pedagogies for deep learning, for example. So you're working with through a well-being approach. What is it that you have evidence to really show you've thought this through? Because PLD is not a silver bullet. It's not something where a facilitator can come in and do everything for you. It's a partnership, and the best success happens when the relationship's built that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing to think about too is just gathering that data can be, as involved as a form where you send out like a survey to students, to find out about motivation, or it could be your something as simple as your attendance rates. Your attendance rates might be down. You want to lift engagement, and so you see a need to be able to do that. But the other side of that is getting some student voice on there is something that's pretty powerful too. So getting some evidence of how students are sort of thinking and feeling as well. That can be as easy as walking into a classroom, right, Bex, and just saying how many people feel this or how many people think that, just taking a show of hands.
And that can also relate to community feedback. So you could, so for example, we've just had all this lockdown online learning. So get some community feedback about the online learning that took place and the experience that they had at home. So what you've learned from that is really important in terms of how you're going to go forth with this rapid shift of pedagogy. It's a really good opportunity to sort of take stock. So other things I think to think about is also, have you got teachers you feeling like afraid or worried or concerned? And have you got teachers that really need some support to balance all the things that are going on now? We're hearing a lot of that at the moment, so maybe some teacher voice around that. And this is really an opportunity to show that your PLD, you're applying for this PLD because you can see a genuine need that will positively impact on your students and your teachers and your wider school community as well.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple on the next couple of slides, Mark. So yeah, once again, let's reiterate, know your why. Why do you want to do this? And if you don't know what your why is, apply for a small amount of number we mentioned in the previous video so that you can develop that why with us. There might be one other tip. And the why should also reflect what you want to see the PLD doing in your school or your kura or your kahuiako, and your evidence. Remember all that data you can attach and show that the story you're telling us is one that you've been through a thoughtful and consideration and really been considerate about. All right, so that takes us to the end of question 10 and 11. We're over halfway, team. It's not that hard. We can do this together. Again, remember, reach out if you want to ask me any more questions. Bex at usingtechnologybetter.com. All right, atua!